Hi, Alex.
Hey Peter, how are you doing?
I'm good today. I'm good. How are you?
Things same here.
Okay. Alex, just wanted to check with you. Ransomware, what is it?
Ransomware. Many people see it as the act of the hackers when they start asking you for money to unlock your files. So they get into a company, they encrypt either all desktops and laptops, or they encrypt databases, storage, and files, critical files for the company. And then they might ask for a ransom. And in many cases, if the company is significant enough or large enough, they might say uh, that the ransom is in the 6 or 7, sometimes even 8 figures. And that's what ransomware is. They demand a ransom to unlock your data.
So we're reading so much more about it these days. I have a question, really. Is it morally acceptable to negotiate with these people?
Well, think about it from the point of view of someone who is getting robbed in a dark street. And if you're alone and someone is holding a knife to you and asking you to give up your wallet, you wouldn't ask yourself, is it moral to negotiate with them? Usually people just give up their wallet to save their life. In the case of ransomware, if they encrypt the entire data storage of a company and all the laptops and all the desktops, and there is no way to recover the data unless you pay them, many companies don't even negotiate. They go and they pay the ransom directly just to survive, just to keep their business afloat. And then the question becomes, is it moral to negotiate or pay the ransom? And you actually have to make that decision. Can your business survive without paying the ransom? If you can survive without paying the ransom, if you can rebuild your entire company from scratch, then your option is to rebuild all your data, rebuild all your computers, start from scratch. There are many questions arising from this. Are you going to get hacked again? Because if they got in once, they got in because your defenses were inadequate. And if you can't build your own defenses, then they'll get in again. So that's another entirely a different discussion. But you asked me about, is it moral? Well, it's moral to keep your company afloat. It's moral to keep paying the salaries of all your employees and to keep serving all your customers.
Okay. So bearing that in mind, does negotiation actually make any difference?
Keep in mind you're negotiating with criminals, and there is always the risk if you pay the ransom. So let's make the decision between two options, paying the ransom and not paying the ransom. If you do pay the ransom, there is a risk that the criminals, because they're criminals, they have no obligation whatsoever to give you any decryption key. They might just run away with the money. But in that case, when the word goes out that hackers are running away with the money, then people will have zero motivation to pay, and the whole criminal business of ransomware will go bust because nobody will pay any ransom because the people will be afraid. So usually hackers do give you the key back when you pay them because they need to keep their business going for years and years to come. And ransomware has been around for at least 10 years now.
Mm-hmm.
So there is some difference, and when you pay the ransom, they usually give you the key. So now the question is, does it make a difference to negotiate? Yes, because in general, if you look up FBI negotiating tactics, for example, the FBI has been, even though officially in the movies they don't negotiate, or if they negotiate, they trick the criminals, but in real life, the FBI has negotiators, and they have a whole science of negotiation, and And that negotiation science wouldn't exist if there was no difference for the FBI or for any other negotiation tactic in business or anywhere else. And those criminals, they are, even if it's strange to look at them that way, they're businessmen, they're business people, and they want to make money. As such, they're humans as well, and you can negotiate with them. And as in all negotiating tactics, the goal is to decrease the amount of money that you pay. And if you get asked to pay, let's say, 7 figures or 6 figures to unlock your data, if you can lower that by 50% or even by 80% in some cases, that would make a huge difference to a company, because 7 figures of losing 7 figures of your profit margins in a year might be significant damage. You can even go bust. So decreasing that by 50 or 80% makes a significant difference for any company.
So I mean, it's a nightmare scenario, but if this was to happen to my firm, why would I hand the negotiations over to someone like you? Why would I not handle that myself?
It all boils down to experience. And if someone has the experience of negotiating with hackers, especially ransomware hackers, who are used to they're used to pressure against them, they're used to hearing the words, we don't have enough money to pay, please lower the price. Those are simple, really simple negotiating tactics done by the victims themselves. So the hackers are used to that, and they just deny such questions outright. They just tell you, if you don't pay us, we're going to wipe all your data. Or they say, if you don't pay us, we're going to publish all your data, and we're going to make the breach public, and you're going to lose your reputation. Your customers might sue you for their data getting in the public domain. And they know that they have the upper hand when talking directly with the victim. And that's what criminals usually think, and that's how they believe, and that's what they believe, that's how they behave. You should trust a professional negotiator with experience in decreasing ransom demands, just because they know the psychology of a hacker, they know the psychology of a criminal, they know the whole process from start to finish, how to get how to make both sides happy, and how to make the hackers believe that they're getting the best deal they can get.
So how do you actually communicate with these people?
Usually they establish some form of encryption communication channel. Sometimes they use the Tor network, and on the Tor network they have those special sites and chat channels where they send their victims to pay. And on the payment page, there is usually a chat option to chat with the criminals and to send them encrypted files. Usually, you should not pay anything, any ransom, regardless if you're negotiating or not. You shouldn't pay any ransom without sending them a few of the encrypted files and asking them for a proof that they can decrypt them. So usually you send them encrypted files, they send you the decrypted files, you verify that you're talking to the right person that way, and then that encrypted channel, that encrypted chat message box is the place where you should hand, if you decide to work with a negotiator, of course, that is where you hand over the discussion to a negotiator, and you can monitor the whole discussion. You shouldn't get involved or intervene in any way, just to keep the process professional, but you can control the whole process of negotiation by observing it.
So it's critical for most people's businesses to stay running. How long have you found these negotiations generally take?
The hackers have a tight schedule. You're not the only victim. You're not their only victim. So they have to work with 20, 30 victims at the same time. And they want to get their money as soon as possible and move on to the next victim because they have their own KPIs, they have management, they have their own bosses, and they have to move quickly. So the negotiation process usually takes between 2 to 3 hours or 24 hours up to 48 hours, but not more than that.
So aside from trying to negotiate just simply over reducing the amount of money that they're demanding, what other things do you try to get back from the negotiation?
Well, you want to ensure that they will not publish the data as they promised. You want to ensure that they don't keep a copy of the data, and you want to ensure that all of your data is decrypted. So if you have all your laptops encrypted and all your desktops and all your servers, I would say the highest priority would be to decrypt the servers because that's where all the business crown jewels are. And you can negotiate partial payments for partial decryption. Let's say decrypt half of our servers for half of the negotiated ransom, not the full ransom, the negotiated lower ransom, but do it in split payments. But have one thing in mind. I mean, that's the most critical thing. Ransomware is not the hacking attack. Ransomware is the symptom of a hacking attack. The hacking attack usually happens months before the ransomware shows up. You know, before encrypting your data, they stay in your network for months. So even after decryption, even after you pay the ransom, you should remember that these guys can still exist. They can still stay in your network until you kick them out. So kicking them out is another crucial point to consider, besides, you know, just the ransomware negotiation payment or getting your data back.
Okay. And I think, what would it cost me for you to use services of someone like you?
Well, see it that way. It costs you nothing because you're not paying the ransomware negotiation company anything. Usually, all ransomware negotiation companies, or most of them, or you know, the ones who care about their customers, they don't charge you a set amount of money without success. So if there is no success in the negotiation process, they shouldn't charge you anything. They should only charge you a success fee. And that success fee is between 10 to 20% of the difference of the final ransom payment. Let's say they asked you to pay €1 million or $1 million. And the ransomware negotiation company lowered that to 300,000, decreasing your final payment by $700,000. In that case, the negotiation company should charge you only a success fee, a percentage of the difference. So if the percentage is 10% of the difference, that would be 10% of 700, so 70,000. In the end, you end up paying just 10% of the difference to the negotiation company.
Okay. Thank you, Alex. That's been very useful information. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Thank you.